Hi, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. Check it out. I got to give a big shout out to my show sponsor, my friends over at AVLX. I also have to give a big shout out to Charles Henry and Ace Young, the amazing performers and producers of the music behind the show, as well as the amazing people that make up the Hit Lab creative team, who are the producers of the show. Folks, I have a favor to ask. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, click that subscribe button to make sure you get alerted when new episodes are dropped. Thanks for tuning in.
The real success stories told by the people who live them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of The Hit Streak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and I have got an unbelievable treat for you today. Got somebody that I've been extremely excited to get into the studio to do some podcasting, right? So in the house today, I've got a fellow Nashvilleian, Mr. Marcus Meneese with Stronger Than My Father. Marcus, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm really excited to dive into the world of fatherhood.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. As a father, so am I.
All right.
So, all right, man. So, first of all, we got to go back. We got to talk to the folks about how we got here today, right? Mm-hmm. And the first thing I got to do is I got to give a shout out to my man, Jason Hulse.
Yeah, Jason, good guy.
For connecting us, right?
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. So grateful. So, Marcus, you are the founder and executive director of Stronger Than My Father Incorporated, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, right?
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
All right. So, Stronger Than My Father, that's an unbelievable name, first of all.
Yeah, the name came from God. Let me say that, number one. The game came from God. Around October of 2012, I was putting a shirt on my son to take him bowling. And he had a shirt that said, Strong Like Dad. My wife bought it. And God whispered in my ear, Stronger Than My Father. And I was like, man, that's a cool, catchy name. Let me just write it down. And then the name just kept registering in my head over and over again. And I was like, all right, I got to do something with this. So my first thought was go out and public speak about fatherhood, because I was have an undergrad in psychology, and I was really studying fatherhood. Why would a father leave his children? You know, those things. And I had a friend who said, hey, why don't you start a nonprofit? Because you like mentoring. I was like, all right, I'll do that. And then the catchphrase for Strong in My Father is the cycle ends with me. Mm-hmm. And that's my research to understand that a father that has a son, once his son has a kid, he can keep that great cycle going like my father. He had his father, and so my father fathered us, and now I'm a father with my boys. So that cycle will continue, but those who grow up without a father, our goal is Strong in My Father is to show that kid the importance of fatherhood. Mm. So when he becomes a father, he'll be there for his kids, and hopefully you see a generational cycle start, and then that cycle that was before that will stop. So that's why I say the cycle ends. It has to end with somebody.
Amen, man. And when God speaks and you listen, good things can happen.
Exactly. I never thought I would be doing this as a career. I never thought I would be mentoring. I looked at it as a hobby. You know, I wanted the corporate career, and God said, that's not what you're going to do. And in 2014, I finally said, okay, God, hook or crook was Strong in My Father. And I say the last 3 years has been amazing. Doing Strong in My Father. Once I left my full-time job in the aircraft industry and put my 2 weeks notice in, and I looked up to God and I said, all right, just help me take care of my family. And this journey has been amazing. Waking up every day, putting my logo on, putting my uniform on. It's amazing. But when you do God's work, the journey is always going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So first of all, you mentioned starting a nonprofit. All right. Mm-hmm. We talk to a lot of people that start businesses. Exactly. And I have helped my father organize a nonprofit organization. And starting a business is hard enough. Mm-hmm. Folks, starting a nonprofit is harder. It took us a year to get approved, first of all, just with the paperwork and stuff. I mean, it was an unbelievable challenge.
Yeah. And it didn't take me long. It took us probably about 3 months.
I called the wrong person.
It took us about 3 months to get approved. I think the struggle was trying to get funding. And once the funding took off, everything's been going, learn how to write grants, securing funds, ask people for donations. It's just a lot of work because, you always have to continue working with nonprofits.
Yes.
Because you have to always continue to seek funding. So people say it's a everyday job. It is, because you got to make connections, meet people. But if you're passionate about it, you're going to do well.
Right.
And I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about impacting young men's lives and giving them a better shot at a better life. I'm passionate about it. So my passion has led me to a great amount of donations so we can continue to do the work that we're doing and also helping young men have a better shot. So nonprofit is a great thing. Mm-hmm. I'm actually meeting a couple tonight that want to do a nonprofit helping the homeless. So I want to kind of coach them and help them and give them all my knowledge and tools to help them live out their passion and live out their dreams doing a nonprofit.
That's outstanding. I hope you will continue to connect me with people like that
I
you're
will.
talking about, because so you mentioned like nonprofits need funds.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, well, guess what? Businesses do too. They just call it revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Cost revenue. Yeah. It's almost the same thing.
And there's customers, but nonprofits don't have customers most of the time, not the type like yours, because you're providing a service for people that need it, right? So your revenue is coming through help and donations and things like that from other people so that you guys can fulfill your service, right?
Yeah, donations. We have a small tuition for our after-school program. So it's a small fee. It's not even a whole lot. What most big, nonprofits that even do childcare charge, because we wanted to think about the family first and make sure it's feasible for families. So that's kind of how our funding goes, is just tuition, donations, and then when we do fundraising events. So I think if you use all those combinations or just really do great fundraising events, you're going to make you'll make enough money that you'll be good for your nonprofit, and also building connections. I just this year got into the networking world. This year. I was always working at the center, and someone told me, Marcus, you have to get away from the center and get out here and network and meet people, because if not, you're going to just burn yourself out. Because I was like, I'm going to be at the center, I'm going to drive the vans, I'm going to pick up the kids, I'm going to do this. And so now this is kind of the first time me being away from work and trusting my team to do the job of picking up 91 kids for an after-school program. 91 kids. That's a lot of kids. But after-school programs are so needed, because you look at the working parent who has to work, who can pick up my child from school and make sure they're safe, they're getting their homework done, and we're providing enrichment activities, STEM, dance, art, music. We provide all that in the afternoon, and you're trying to put all that in really 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why after-school programs are important. And that's why I push for them. And that's why we've been doing, God has blessed us to do the great work we're doing with 91 kids. And we get calls every day, emails every day as you have opens, because your work is good. Right. And I told my staff, as long as y'all do good work, you're going to eat. You're going to have a great job, a great career, and you're going to be impacting someone. You're going to be impacting someone.
Not only are you providing an unbelievable service for the youth in our community, but you're providing jobs to the workplace in the community, right? Yeah. So, and you were telling me earlier you had how many?
I have 9 employees.
9 employees.
9 employees. Before the pandemic, I had 17. So we're going to get back once our numbers, continue our numbers increase. But I wanted to find people who had a passion for helping kids. I just didn't want to hire just the average person who said, I just need a job. But I always ask in an interview, what is your passion towards kids? Because if you're not passionate towards kids, you're not going to last long with me. So I have a great team that's been with me, some since 2016, some since 2018, but they believe in the mission. They believe in what we're doing, and they believe in the work that I'm trying to get out and get the word out to people about Stronger Than My Father, and provide a great work environment, for the staff. And here's the thing you're not going to believe. All my staff is women except one.
Amazing.
I have one driver that's a male, but all my staff is females. And so that's been a challenge at times, because I'm not a manager. I'm an organizer. So I'm looking to transition out of the day-to-day operation with the after school and give it to a woman But I'm still going to be around, but it's just time for me to kind of branch out and do other projects. But I always will tell people after school programs are important, because I'm going to tell you one fact is that so 60 shows from 3 to 6 p.m. is when most young kids get in trouble. 3 to 6 p.m.
Wow.
Usually when mom and dad are at work and you have that gap, what are your kids doing between 3 and 6? So after school programs are great. That's why Boys and Girls Clubs are successful. Mm-hmm. You hear people like Denzel and other celebrities say how the Boys and Girls Club has changed their lives. Therefore, I'm trying to do a Hope Leadership Academy. I'm trying to get Hope Leadership Academy on that boys and girls level where they can say, hey, in 10 years, Hope Leadership Academy changed my life. Mm-hmm. And Hope Leadership Academy should be around. And actually, my wife wants to get Hope Leadership in other states. So you never know. Hope Leadership Academy may be in another state near you soon.
So that was my next question, because like we got a lot to talk about today. But
I'm ready.
First of all, the difference in the same difference in nonprofit organizations that succeed in their mission and grow, and businesses that succeed and grow. They all have one thing in common, and that is a credible person with a mission, right? So first of all, you're a brilliant man. I can tell you that right now.
Well,
so
first, I appreciate that.
And this is in no need a knock. So, but like if you weren't doing what you're doing and you were just a businessman, brother, you would be in Forbes magazine probably. No kidding. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
But you were called to do something different. You answered that calling, and you're changing lives along the way. So my question is, all right. How big? So you just mentioned your wife wants to have Hope Leadership Academy in other states. Like, how big can this be, or how big will it be? Before we go back and really talk about the intricate details.
Wherever God wants it. If God puts it on my heart, if God puts it on my heart to go somewhere else, I would do it. If the opportunity presents itself, I would do it. Because I think that if you can have great after-school programs that can educate kids and have kids reading and doing math, and also teaching them great skills, kids will grow, because you don't know what they're learning at home. Mm-hmm. We don't know what these kids go through at home. So my wife said, I want to be sure that Hope Leadership can be a safe place for kids, to no one have fun. Wow. And I have kids in my school program that don't want to go home because they're having so much fun. Right. They tell their mom, pick me up right before 6 p.m. because they're having fun. So that's the reason why I wanted Hope Leadership to be a place where kids can have fun, enjoy themselves. And also it's a place where kids can also remember. I have pre-K kids, because we pick up pre-Ks, that's been in my program 3 years, and they always still know the pre-K teacher.
Wow.
And say, we love Miss Tammy. We love Miss Tammy, because Miss Tammy impacted them as a pre-K. Mm-hmm. So I think just you have great staff members and great teachers that can impact kids. Your high school program is going to grow. And so I try to use that business model to have a great work environment, motivate my staff. And I say, look, I'm going to work hard. I need y'all to work hard, and we all going to grow together. It's not just going to be Marcus growing, but we all as a team to grow, because I believe in the team effort. So that's why I push my staff. They've been with me for a while. They believe in me. The driver's been with me for a while. So it's just, God has blessed me to kind of put a great model together for the after school program. And like I said, I still get phone calls. Can I get my kid in? So it's been a business where people's lives have been changed. And one thing we do after school program, I'm going to tell you, boys and girls don't do. We feed families at the end of the school year. We, in our gym, we feed at least 350. Our last after school celebration, we fed 350 people.
Incredible.
The rule to come to this dinner is you must eat with your child at the table. So when you get your meal, your child has to be sitting with you, because I want to show parents the importance of sitting down and eating a meal with your child.
Hold on a second. Say that again. Say that again.
It's very important that you eat a meal with your child. Mm-hmm. And so ever since 2018, when I started doing Stronger My Father full time, I look forward to eating dinner with my wife and kids.
Amazing.
Every day. How's your day? How's it going?
My wife's looking at me right now through the wall doing this, because that's the thing. Like, we're always going in the afternoons, and that's one of her, like, something that we have to recommit to each other every single year is like this many times a week, we're going to sit down and eat together as a family, especially now that we have an 8-month-old.
Oh, congratulations.
Along the way too, right? So we got to, we're doing it all over again. And I want to let the folks know that are listening and watching off camera. I knew this was going to be good. I just knew. I honestly, your beautiful website.
Appreciate
it. I'm just telling you, the story is incredible. The presentation, everything is so good. I was so impressed with it that I had to have my son in the studio today to hear this. You know what I'm saying? So Ethan is in here. I'll get, you know what, at the end, I'm going to have you come over. If you be thinking about one question that you would like to ask Mr. Marcus as we wrap at the end, and I'll have you come over here and get with me on them and lean up to the microphone and say it, okay? Does that sound good? Never done that before? We're going to see how that goes, Fiona. Fiona's like, oh no. we shall see. But okay. So, Marcus, let's you've told a little bit about why you did it. Let's talk. So first of all, you mentioned the gym. So you obviously have some partners. Maybe is it some churches or schools that you're working with?
Smith Spring Church of Christ. I met a young lady who used to go to that church in 2015. And she just asked me a random question. And she's like, how's your program doing? And I said, I am looking for a building because I would love to start an after-school program. She says, wonderful. My church has a facility that they're not really using, and I think it could be a great partnership. So make a long story short, met the pastor at Smith Springs, gave him my vision. A few months later, he was like, hey, you can use this building, which has a full-court gym, a number of classrooms, and I started with just 4 kids with a dream.
Yep.
Didn't know what I was doing. No one trained me. And within 4 years, I had 125. So year 1, 15, year 2, 65, year 3, 80. By the time before the pandemic, I was at 125. Summer camp, 35, 80, and 90 kids because I want to be sure they had fun. But one thing that in my program I did, I always included the family. If you include the family, you're going to always get support. And that's kind of where all of it's come about. So great, Smith Springs gave me a great building to do the things I'm doing. So I'm really thank Smith Springs Church of Christ and Smith Springs who believed in me, believed in my vision to allow me to use their building to do what we're doing. It's been a great partnership since 2016. And I look forward to it. Every day I go to work, man, I look forward to it, man. I enjoy myself.
It's unbelievable. I told you. Did you see the growth that he just talked about? Like, seriously, that's how you make it to the Forbes list to watch. Like, that's exactly what business, they grow just like that. Just like you're doing. I mean, seriously, 5 years from now, what's that number going to be? It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. We may have to find another location or if God sees fit, build.
That's right.
So that's been one of my desires is to build from the ground up. That's a big project. But I just told God, if it's your will, let me build a building that we can house 250 kids.
That's a model that you could scale in multiple markets.
Yeah. And look how many more kids you can help. How many more kids you impact.
Thank you.
How many more kids you can help read. And because they can read these phones. I'm going to tell you about these kids. I have 2 young sons, 12 and 6. They know how to work them phones and tablets. So I figure if you can do that, you can read a book.
That's right.
So that's one thing we have to do in the evening time is read.
That's right.
Both of my boys have to read books.
That's awesome.
And they have to read to me. And if they can read it good, then I'll let them play their tablet for about an hour or so. If they can't read it, no tablets.
That's
so
right.
It's a rule. But you know what? My youngest is so cool. He grabs his books when I get home. And I don't care how tired I am, I get energy to be sure I read with my son.
That's right.
And I never want my son to say, Daddy, you blessed so many other lives, but you never had time for me.
Oh, my goodness.
I would never do that to my son. Like both of my kids, I always make time for them.
That's right.
And that's one thing my father did with us. He worked so hard, but he always had time for us. So I think I use that model for the after school, the mentoring. And I know when to crash. I know when to rest. People tell me, Mark, you work all the time, but I know when to crash. I know when to rest.
That's right.
But I push myself because there's so many people that need help. And some people are not going to help you. Some people are going to use you. Some people are going to not treat you right. I want to be the guy who said I did it. When I lay across that casket, I want them to say, Marcus did it right. And that's what I want to do.
They would say that today.
Well, I hope so.
They would. I'm telling you they would.
Like I said, I believe that people deserve a better shot at a better life. That's my motto. I've always said at the beginning, you deserve that to have a better life. And let people, get around people who's going to give you the tools to do that and who believe in you and just going to give you the tools.
The people that do get remembered for at least a couple generations, because most of us, when we pass, they put us in the ground or whatever however that works with your belief system, and then 2 generations later, half the people that if you went to the cemetery today, if they died in the early 1900s, nobody speaks of that name anymore. They're forgotten, kind of. And I believe we're all put on this earth for a reason, a God-given reason. I think the people that get remembered are the ones that actually figure out what that is and do it. That's how I feel.
Well, I think that we all here for a specific amount of time, as you said, but I've heard speakers say, what are you going to leave? What's going to be your legacy?
Yes.
I want my legacy to be that I help the fatherless. That's all I want my legacy to say, is that there's an old song that I heard that says, may the work I've done speak for me. So I just want to be sure the work I do on this earth speaks about Marcus, that I gave. I gave my life to bless others, even though I had a whole different career path that I had modeled for Marcus.
Yeah.
God says, I'm going to use this guy here to do the work. And once I accepted it, it took me a while to accept it, but once I accepted it, I've never looked back at saying I'm going to do another whole career path. I'd say this, when I was going through trying to decide I want to do this, I used to jump on LinkedIn all the time, had my profile, but I'd be looking for other jobs. And then one day God was like, if you're going to do this seriously, don't ever go on LinkedIn again and look for another job. If you want to trust me that I'm going to bless you beyond measure, don't go on LinkedIn no more and look for another job.
Plan B. Everybody that has Plan B kills Plan A.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's one thing I did. So I quit looking.
When you have a fallback plan, you're going to fall back.
Yeah, because you're scared.
That's
and you're
right.
scared to leave your comfort zone. And so that's one thing I learned through reading different books and stuff like that. Don't go back to Plan B. It's either you're going to do this, hook or crook. And if you fail, you could say you tried. So when I did the after school, I didn't have I only had limited knowledge. I said, if I failed the after school, I'm going to say I tried. When I do my events, last year was the first year I fed families for Thanksgiving. Okay. Some people told me, oh, you better not do it. It's in the middle of a pandemic. God says feed them.
Amen.
And we ended up feeding 200, we gave out 200 meals the first year and raised the money that we even had over the amount. But I go and I take the risk. Doing a back to school celebration, never done in a huge setting. We had over 16,000 people show up. I take the risk. And I said, if God, you with me, we're going to win. And then I'm going to prove other people wrong. So that's how I motivate myself to do the things that I'm doing now. I just take the risk.
Yeah. And
if it's a good risk, you're going to win. Feeding families and doing the after school. And these things are just things I took a shot at. Anytime you get a building that's 15,000 square foot and they pretty much gave you the building, if that ain't God, you don't believe in God.
Thank
you. I tell people that. And so, like I said, Smith Spring's done great by me. They have blessed me beyond measure to bless other people. And so now when they see me on TV, first thing I mention is Smith Spring Church of Christ.
Absolutely.
And that's the things that I want to do to help people and impact lives and use my life for that. I like I said, I had that desire and it's still there. It's still there. But I know what God told me. He said, quit getting on LinkedIn looking for jobs.
That's right.
And do this work. And I promise you, I'm going to bless you beyond measure.
Well, I mean, the numbers that you've thrown out there that you guys are already doing, I mean, I can probably think of 1,500 to 150 congregation churches right now that are trying to do similar things, and they're not even sniffing that amount.
Wow.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that just goes to show you how important that the leadership is. So I'm going to go on record and say right now so I got to do it because I'm doing it right now on the record, right? So first of all, you toured our building here. So that front room up there was designed, I went to like 100 coffee houses before I did this. That may be exaggerated. Maybe it was like 14.
100 sounds better.
But I saw all these amazing conversations and all these transactions and business deals and things happening, relationships being built in a coffee house. It was loud. It was crowded. It was all these people just crammed in tables. And that's why the front room kind of looks the way it is.
Yeah.
Is because that's a gathering spot, right? So, but we hold a lot of networking groups. We hold, we've had meetings. We've had trainings and anything you can think of in there. When you look at that room on the way out, I want you to think of a way that you could bring some of your, I know you probably can't fit everybody in, it's not that big, but how could you use that room? There's an Apple TV on the screen you can mirror, you can use it for presentations, whatever you need to do.
Okay.
I want you to take a look at that, and I want you to take advantage of that. And then the other thing I want you to do is you're sitting in this, in the Hit Lab here in the studio.
Love it. I love Hit Lab, man.
Well, you're obviously going to have every class has a valedictorian or a top of the grade or whatever, the number one pick in the draft. You probably will have one that stands out in every one of your classes. I would like to think of something that you could do with that individual.
Okay.
Where you bring them in this studio and you make that something that would incentivize them to finish stronger than they already are.
I'll do that.
And use that. And Fiona, we're going to figure out how to make that work for them, right? So I'm putting it on the record right now.
Let's do it. Don't do it, because I'm telling you, you go get the call, because I'm going to move.
I love it.
I'm going to move, because once you give me the challenge, I go.
That's right.
And like I said, I had kids I helped graduate high school. I had my first young man I really had hands on, Marcus Anderson. I actually saw him. Anytime I do an event, he comes and volunteer. And had a full ride to Tennessee State University in 2013, graduated in 2017, is doing well. My wife put a picture of when he received his scholarship in 2013. So in my hallway, if you come out of my office, that's the first picture you see of me and him in 2013. And my wife put that picture there. She said, because anytime you get depressed or you feel like quitting, I want you to look at that photo to see why you're doing what you're doing.
Ethan, we got to go check out his space. Fiona, we got to film it.
Let's do it.
Right?
It's great facility. And did a whole mural. So the hallway is a whole SeaWorld. Because I wanted kids to have something fun to look at every afternoon. Had a great artist who did all my murals. I mean, he was great. And I just used all these fun methods to try to help kids, and then have a great after school center where kids can come. And I think one thing that helped the after school grow outside of God was I built a relationship with the parents. Is when they pick their kids up, how you doing? You have a great day, your kid. I mean, you built a relationship, and you treat the kids like they're your own. And that was one thing I wanted to do. And my dad, who has a lawn service business, and we've been in business since I was 13. And I'm 45 now, so I tell people do the math. He always showed that great customer service. And that's one thing that I wanted my greeters to do. Always smile, give that great customer service. And one of my staff members who was out one day, who works the door, one lady looked at me and she was like, "Who are you?" Because they were used to that one person being there all the time. So I want to that's just my thing is in the business model is, like I said, have great experiences. And like I said, when I was talking about the beginning of feeding the families, that was really, really cool to me, because one woman came to me and she said this was the first time in months I actually sat down and had a meal with my child. In months. Literally crying to me. And she said, "Thank you for thinking about the family model." And so, but it happened because I grew up with a father and a mother who had that same model in me. So those are things I bring to the after school, and I also do it for summer. So summer camp, it's always barbecue. Somebody comes in with barbecue, we eat our food, the kids put on a performance, and it's done in an hour and a half. And someone speaks on the importance of family. I tell whoever speaks, you got to talk about family. So I think I use those models to build something that can be lasting, standing, and continue to help people. And I think just after school, and forgot to mention, my oldest son was in my after school program from first grade to fifth grade. So awesome. my oldest son, Marcus Jr. So every day, this really touched me. Every day when I was driving the bus, he would wait for me in the front door to give me a high five every day he'd come in.
That's incredible.
He said, "I want to see my dad." And so I think just my goal in life, I really think is just to push people's mindset to understand that fatherhood is so important. Yes. Not saying motherhood isn't, but the least likely holiday that people get mad about is Father's Day.
That's right. Yeah.
I just tell the truth. You see more cards at Walgreens, but Mother's Day you can't get in a restaurant.
That's right.
You can't hardly find a card, but why is Father's Day like that? And it's because the absence of the father. So I want to use my life to speak more about that. It's absent. And so, and I think that people don't know the effect when the father's not present. Your son's watching you. He's watching your every move.
Told you.
So that means that any move you make wrong could affect his life and could affect the altar of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So as a father, I need to do everything as perfect as possible. How I treat my wife.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad did. I watched how my dad treated my mother, treated her like a queen. Yeah. So I don't know what violence looked like. I don't know what abuse looked. I don't know. Only I know it looked like is what I see on TV.
That's right.
I didn't grow up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I do something I didn't grow up with?
That's right.
And so I've been, like I said, I'm an open book. Never put my hands on my wife. And I'm a big guy, but never put my hands on my wife because I didn't see my father do it.
That's right.
And I know that it's wrong. And he always told me, you don't never put your hand on a woman. He said, this is a marriage advice. Whoever watching the podcast, a great marriage advice. He always told me, before you put your hand on a woman, you leave the house. Told me that. So all these tools is what I want to give young men.
Incredible.
Because I think that when you don't have that, how do you know how to do something if you don't have somebody teach you? We were taught these things.
I don't think, so there's there's people that are just as passionate, mm-hmm. that have a mission that's mm-hmm. equally as important, but like there's a dynamic that has to happen for something like this to really take off. Because man, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely, honestly blown away right now.
I appreciate it.
As I'm continuing to learn more about this. But like, first of all, the person that's leading the charge mm-hmm. has to be qualified and credible, which you are, and that's rare in itself. All right, but that's only one piece of the dynamic. Because mm-hmm. you've mentioned your wife Latoya, Marcus Jr. and Jordan, your two sons. Mm-hmm. That like they have to support this.
Yes, like
which is incredibly rare.
Yeah,
I mean, if that you don't have that, we're not talking today.
No, it would be rough, mainly because my wife. Here's what she told me. She knew that I wanted a career, doing something else, and she loved her job at BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated. She's been there for a long time. She loves that job, and I said, well, what if I just, put my time and energy in building stronger in my father? And she said, if you do that, I'll help you behind the scenes. So my wife is actually the behind the scenes. It's no Strong in My Father without Toya. Mm-hmm. I tell anybody that.
Right.
Without
Latoya, I could have told you that
yeah,
when he's done.
Yeah. Without Latoya, there's no Stronger Than My Father because half of the things she does, I can't do.
Right.
Some things she do on the computer, I can't do. Right. So, and we've built something together that's hopefully can impact kids even longer when I'm gone. And so I always appreciate her and what she does to help me grow as a person and as a man. And I just want to be sure that I return the favor by doing the work I'm doing, keeping a clean home, a nice, happy house. And I think that's what really helps grow the organization name because there's no mess going on in the center, scandals and all that stuff. And all that stuff affects your business. So the more you can keep it clean, the better. And that's why I have a great, strong team behind me. So, yeah, I tell people there's no Strong in My Father without Toya.
That's right.
So when she hear the podcast, she'll say, okay, you didn't have to say that. That's what she'll say. You didn't have to say that.
Of course you didn't.
But, yeah, people see me, but they don't see her.
Right.
But she's a behind-the-scene person.
Right. Well, you met my wife.
Yes.
And there is none of this, like, Lance and I were talking about this when he was sitting in that chair. Mm-hmm. How many people, like this room, it's pretty cool, right? But
I love it.
This studio, how many people, especially if the wife is the business partner like mine is, could you mm-hmm. go home and be like, I mean, when we built this was in an insurance office, okay? Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
we weren't big on podcasts or anything else. We just knew we liked creating cool stuff, and we're called to do a lot of things too. Yeah. But like, imagine going home and saying, "Hey, I want to build something like this." The look at you that you would get.
Well, I think Toya would be cool with you, like, as long as you can afford it. Because
yes.
That's all she would say. She's like, you live your dream.
Yeah.
That's what she always tell me. And one thing my wife has never done was down my dreams. She might say, you going a little crazy, but she didn't say that it's impossible, you can't do it, because she know that drives me. Like, if you tell me I cannot do something, I will work hard to prove you wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, when people told me I wasn't smart enough to go to college, and said that you're not smart as your brother. Like, that drove me insane to finish college. So the times I was tired when I had to do papers, I thought about that, and I guess got mad. And I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I'm a driven individual, kind of like the late Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. He let things drive him. Michael Jordan You told Michael he couldn't do something, he drove him insane till he did it.
That's right.
That's who Marcus is. I'm insanely driven. And I wonder, that's what pushes me. So my wife says, don't tell Mark you can't do it. Just say, can I help or something like that? Because I will prove you wrong.
Yes.
That I can do it. So that's me. But that's a Mark thing. So I have to have those things to keep me driving, keep me moving forward.
All right. So let's make sure that all of our folks, they know that the purpose behind the organization. Mm-hmm. But so you've been doing this you founded this in 2013.
Yes, 2013.
And I want to say something because we're big. We just finished November is our month of hope, where we do a mission as a team. And we had partnered with New Hope Community Church and provided some things for some children going into foster care that was much needed. We've done a lot of different things. Hope is the key word because literally without hope, what is there? You hope your kids turn out good. You hope you don't have cancer. You hope that you can pay bills or that you thrive or that you succeed or whatever it may be. You hope good things happen to good people. Without hope, there's nothing. And that's what you have your leadership academy. It's called Hope Leadership Academy. So I'm all about that, right? So let's make sure you have multiple branches or pieces of what you're doing. So you take me through from each thing. So the kids range the kids range from
pre-K to fifth grade.
Pre-K to fifth grade.
Pre-K to fifth. That started because it was first K through 8. We feel like middle school wasn't a huge target of kids coming for after school, so we actually did. We moved to K to pre-K because I realized a parent told me that pre-Ks get out at 2:00, and most parents don't get off of work till at least 4 or 5. So what happens to the pre-K? And so I had a great staff member, Miss Tammy, who said, hey, I get off work at 1:30. I could be there by 2. And I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So we went from, I think the first year, about 5 or 6 pre-Ks. And then before the pandemic, we had 40. So it grew every year because the need.
How do you get the word out? How do the people find out about this?
This is a great story. When I first started trying to start Hope Leadership Academy, I have God in my mission statement. And because the Metro Public Schools wouldn't put out my information because they have to be respectful of other people's religion.
Sure.
So what they said is we'll put it on our, when you come in the office, it'll be in the office.
Great. So they found a way.
It up. They found the way, and then the word got out. Social media, friends and family, it's just the word got out. And then the schools realized, hey, these parents are coming asking us, in the after school programs. And that's when they kept saying, call Marcus at Strong in My Father or Hope Leadership. So they don't never know what name to call it.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And then we had, before the pandemic, we had at least about an 85% return rate. Wow. So pretty much kids stayed the same year. So it just grew. And it's just basically the word got out that way. And it's just every year it grows. And the schools tell them about me. Mm-hmm. So, and I told my staff, if you keep your name clean, you're going to always grow. And that's what happened in our program. Picking up the kids on time, that's important. Mm-hmm. School's not bad mouthing and stuff like that. So it all worked out.
Before I forget, if there's anybody else that you work with that helps your organization, that works with your organization, or anybody that I need to bring in here and share the good stuff, make sure that you handle.
You definitely. And I have some staff that I would love to really. I think they'll be shocked that I asked them to do something like this because they've impacted so many kids in our program. We just, my networking group, Network International Today in Cool Springs, had a great luncheon for us as a fundraiser. I told my whole staff to come. I said, I want y'all to see the work that I do when I'm out here on Wednesdays. And they were blown away with over 70 people eating lunch, honoring us. So I told my team, wherever I go high, you guys can come in with me. So it's not Marcus growing high and y'all stay down there. If I grow, you grow. And that's what I love. I think my staff really appreciate me thinking of them and not just saying, okay, I'm going to give you a check, go on somewhere.
Yeah.
But we all a team. I would do a podcast with all of us in here. That would be a show.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Because they've enjoyed working with me and enjoyed, the success and seeing the success of the program. So I'm excited for them. I really appreciate all of them.
3 things that I learned from somebody that I look up to a whole lot. His name's Troy McQuaig. He's the CEO of U.S. Health Group.
Okay.
And he always said, income is the outcome, not the objective.
I agree with that.
Love that. He said, provide somebody with a hand up, not a handout.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. And make your passion greater than your purpose. Or make your purpose greater than your problems.
I agree with that.
And you can't lose.
You can't.
And you can't lose. And you are literally like a walking example of all this stuff. Because I could find a million reasons why launching a 501c3 in Nashville, especially, you had a million reasons during the pandemic to not grow, to say, oh, now I can go back to LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. No, you know what? I actually enjoyed, we was off from March of 2020 till August. And one of my former staff members, she was like, Mark, we're going to open back up and we're going to do virtual school. I was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And we did virtual school from August to October. And then some of the kids that didn't go back to school, we kept them in virtual. So I had people motivate me. I wasn't depressed or sad. I actually enjoyed some of the rest, but I was still working. Still reading grants, and because I'm a grant writer as well. So I still worked, but the rest helped me a whole lot. But as long as you have people that can push you, I mean, leaders, we get tired. Leaders, we get a little depressed. It happens. But it's great to have people that drive you, that you can always count on. One thing you mentioned earlier is about having a mentor. I had two mentors. One passed away in 2019. I have one that really pushed me to go back to college, and then my dad's up top. Mm-hmm. So I have great people that if I'm tired, I need somebody to talk to. I got some great sounding people I can always talk to.
You know, Simon Sinek says you can't be a great leader until you've been a great follower first.
I agree with that.
And if you think about it, even the great leaders, the disciples in the Bible, were first a follower.
Exactly.
Right.
And like I said, the guy who I followed with the app school was Bill Hobbs of Urban Youth Impact. I saw his motto, and I was just so happened doing some homework and just Googled app school program, and his popped up. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my wife. I was like, man, this would be cool if we could do this. And that's where the Thought for After School program come from. And then I bought his book, which I call my after school Bible. So I have so many highlights in there, and I just use that book as a template to start. Because his is the Leadership Academy. I just I took the off of it and I put Hope there. So that's where the name come from. But I just think that mentors are so needed. And that's why I try to use my life, even helping those who want to start a nonprofit. They see me and I'm like, look, I give you every tool for free. I want you to see you successful. Kind of like, a baby being birthed and you're being successful. So like I said, I have an evening meeting today and she was like, I know you tired, but can you meet with me and my husband for like 30 minutes? You just need, I'm like, yeah, I got you.
That's awesome.
Because I'm giving back.
That's
and,
right.
And I want to help other people, because if people have a passion for something to help people, you need to help them, because you don't want them to lose that passion. Mm-hmm. They don't want to lose that fire inside of them, because I'm telling you, if I could teach a nonprofit class, I would tell people that it's hard. I'm going to tell you up front. And if you ain't tough enough, you're going to quit. And they say most nonprofits quit within 3 to 5 years.
That's correct.
They can't, it's just either I'm not making no money, or
it's a high rate.
Yeah.
When you say most, it's like 8 out of 80% or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a former consultant when we got started. She looked at me and she said, if you don't quit, I'll help you. That's all she said. Just don't quit. And once her consulting time was up and she left, I was like, all right, I'm on my own, but I ain't going to quit. And I think like that every day. Like, I'm not going to quit. And I'm just really driven. And all it takes is somebody to push a button. And Mark would just, if somebody told me today, you cannot build a building, I'll probably work the rest of my life trying to build a building just to prove somebody wrong. But
One brick at a time.
But that's me. But I just, when I sit back and I look at everything that, like, this has been a great year for Strong and My Father. From golf tournament, just when I sit back in December and I reminisce, I'm like, wow, you've done a lot to help people. People saw me on TV on Thanksgiving with Channel 4 and Channel 5 airing me live. And I don't let none of that stuff get to my head.
I did. I sure did. Oh, my gosh. I sure did.
I was live at the center on Thanksgiving morning. So basically, 4 and 5 had 2 cameras. I turn around, I'm on 4, and I turn around, I was on 5. So,
awesome.
And I don't let nothing get to my head.
But you need to be on every camera right now.
Well, I need it, man. I need it, man.
That's what you need. That's what you need.
I want to keep getting my voice out, man.
So, all right, you kind of talked to me about why the passion, your passion about fatherhood. You talked a little bit about why mentorship is so important, because everybody follows somebody regardless. There's nobody that's just totally rogue, and even people that march by the beat of their own drum, or they heard some song they're going through, right? So so again, so I ask you, how big does this get? And you said that's a God thing.
Yeah, it's a God thing. However far God takes it, I don't know. I tell people I don't know. But if somebody came from another city, say we got a building, can we start one? I probably would do it. Because here's the thing, I love a challenge. Mm-hmm. I really love challenges because I want to see can it happen. And
you got the model now. You have a proven model that you could replicate in other markets.
Yeah, all you do is some good teachers and some vans and a building. You're gonna make it.
That's it.
Because you got to have vans to pick up kids from school. So I think if somebody asked me, I would do it. First of all, I would pray about it and talk to Toya. So Toya says, "Hey, let's go for it." Because Toya is a strategic thinker. Mark just goes for it.
Yeah.
But Toya said, "Let me think about it. Let me pray about it." And I'm just like, "Hey, it's a challenge. I'm gonna go."
Balance is good.
Yeah, you need to balance. And but I just never know how big, strong my father want to be. I want the name to grow. Like when you hear strong my father, you'll think like you hear Boys and Girls Club, you know what they do.
Right.
If you hear Big Brothers and Big Sisters, you know what they do.
Right.
When somebody hears Strong in My Father, I want them saying, "What is that?" I want them to know exactly what Strong in My Father does, or exactly what we do. Okay. And what exactly the name means. It means to help the fatherless. Mm-hmm. That's what Strong in My Father, if you anything on this podcast, is to help the fatherless. Mm-hmm. Give the fatherless children a shot. Help them break the cycle. So when they become parents, they'll be there for their kids. That's really what I want the name Strong in My Father to be.
Now, Ethan, you be thinking about that question? You've been thinking about it? You better be getting ready. You got, we're about halfway there. All right, and you get to come up and ask that question. So I got some more questions, though. So first, I love stories. Mm-hmm. Okay, you mentioned your first student.
Yeah.
Right, you mentioned your first student. So I don't know, 2 or 3 stories that stand out.
With mentoring, this young man, Marquise, was a good kid, just going through a lot at home. I remember once his mom had a little altercation. She called me to come talk to him, and as we was talking out, he lives in a kind of a rough area, mm-hmm. and I didn't grow up around gun violence, so we stand outside and I hear a pop, and I'm like, "This is close." And he was like, "Well, maybe they're practicing at the police academy." And I said, "Okay." So we started talking again, and I just see kids running, and I just hear bullets flying. And so literally I grabbed Marquise, and we literally ducked near my car. And I just hovered over him, and I'm hollering, screaming for Jesus because I'm scared. And I told my wife that, and my wife goes off. Mm-hmm. She was like, "You could have died." And I said that, isn't helping the father's worth losing your life over.
Oh, wow.
And she told me that. She just looked at me like, "I can't believe you said that." I said, Dr. King gave his life helping others. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to do what he was brought to earth to do. He didn't want to do what he did. But he lost his life helping others. And that can happen. And so that was every time I look at that picture, that was always life altering to me.
Yeah. Because
I didn't grow up around that. So I've helped kids. Another young man, Peter Green, he was in the football. He asked me, "Can I take him to Ohio for a football camp?" I'm like, "I've never taken the kid that far anywhere." But you know what? Because of him, I rented a car, took him to Ohio just for a football camp. And we basically drove up there. I slept for a few hours, took him to camp, and then went back home that evening. So I've gone over and beyond helping young men have a shot, you know, and his father wasn't around. And so I miss talking to him. I have to definitely connect with him because once they get 18 and they grow, it's really hard to get in touch with them. But one story I have in particular is why I got started with mentoring.
Okay.
Let me give you a story. 2003. I can't believe I didn't say this at the beginning. 2003, my mother, I have a cousin named Dominique Cruz. He lives in Dover, Delaware. He's actually my cousin. And my mom asked me his mother died in 2003, and he has never seen his father. So he's 3.5 years old, and my mom asked me to be his big brother. First, I tell my mother no, because I don't have time to fool with kids. I'm newly married. Well, I want to fool any kids. And so I think a couple of months go by, and my mom asked me again. I'm like, Mom, I don't feel like doing it. And she was like, he really needs you. Do it for your mama. That's the code word.
That's right.
And so I said, okay. So I start picking him up. And from 2003 to 2006, it was like a father-son. Like I was picking him up multiple times. And then in 2006, his grandmother, which is my aunt, decided to move to Dover. Took him from Nashville and moved to Dover. And that was the first time I literally cried like I was losing my child. And I didn't have any kids at the time.
Wow.
And from 2006 to 2015, me and my wife flew him in every year for the summer to spend time with us. That started my journey to understand father. I didn't understand fatherhood. It was through Dominique. So pretty much all of this comes from Dominique.
Wow.
And so he's doing great. He graduated. And then the sad part was his grandmother, which is my aunt, she died in 2010 from cancer.
Okay.
She called me about a week or two before she died. And she said, can you promise me that Dominique graduates high school? That's all I ask you to do for me. Let him graduate high school. So when he graduated in 2017 or 18, we flew to Dover, and when they called his name, I recorded it. It's still on my phone. And I looked up to the sky, and I'm crying like a baby. And I told my aunt, I fulfilled your mission. He graduated high school. And so he joined the National Guards. He's working at the post office and doing good. And Dominique is like my firstborn. And he told me when MJ was born in 2009, he said, you promised me, he said, are you going to leave me? Because MJ's here, your child's here. And I tell Dominique, I never call him by his name. I'll call him son. I have never, probably 2 or 3 times, I've ever called him Dominique. If he calls me right now, I say, hey, son, what you need?
That's incredible.
That's because he's never called me dad, which is fine. But I wanted him to always have a sense of what a father would have done for him. And he's never seen his dad. And Dominique's birthday is Saturday.
Wow.
So he'll be 22. And I'm proud of him because I want him to be successful. And so that's actually my journey with Dominique Cruz, how I got into mentoring, my understanding of trying to help the fatherless. I have pictures of me and Dominique with Shaq and Dwayne Wade jerseys. When Shaq played for the Miami Heat, I took him to JCPenney where they had the photo booth. And I have them photos at my home right now because he was my son. Yeah. And to this day, I call him my son. I never call him just, hey, you my cousin. Right. But if he called me tomorrow, he know, hey, Mark got my back. And that's really where I really enjoyed mentoring. Yeah. It's just kind of seeing a flower grow to something special. And then you see that young man become something special, because I said this on another either podcast or radio, I can't remember. If young men can learn how to do bad, why can't they learn how to do good stuff? Oh, I tell you that. If you learn, and I tell kids that, because that's why you see on the news now with social media, kids are learning. If you don't have a dad or somebody's watching your child's tablets and phones, they're learning other ways through social media. Yep. So if you don't, and that's why they're saying for TikTok and Instagram and all these other social media platforms, kids are trying to discover who they are. And if you don't have a parent teach you that you're beautiful if you're big, or you look this way, you're still beautiful. When you have a father tell a girl that she's beautiful, social media don't even dictate to her. Right. A father needs to tell her she's beautiful. Don't let that determine who you are. And that's where, my oldest son, he's autistic. I have no problem saying that. We just found out when he was 3 years old, he has a learning disability. But I always teach him, you're going to be smart. You're going to do this. I always say positivity to him. Every time I talk to him, when I pick him up from school, it's always positive. Yeah. Never negative. Never you're dumb or you're this or you're that. It's always positivity, because I want him to always know that his dad believed in him. That's what I want to know, that I want him, something happened to me. I want him to always know his dad believed in him.
And he's going to find new ways to solve old problems because of the way he learns.
Yeah. And that's where, when you have that piece missing, it's unfair to a mother who has to cook and try to train a child. It's a lot of work. And that's why you see some moms snap.
Yeah.
It was never designed for that. It was designed for the father to lead and the wife to help. Mm-hmm. That's what God designed was. And then when you mess up a design, just like building this, if you don't build it the right way, it's not going to work. And I tell people,
they told me. That's right.
Yeah,
they told me the same thing.
And I tell people that. And so it falls on deaf ears. Some people don't want to hear it. And I said, okay, here come the problem. You're going to see all these problems start up.
Yeah.
And so that's why when we take the kids to school, I want them to look decent when they go to school.
Yep.
Have a coat on. Look decent before you go to school. Mm-hmm. And these are things that I was trained by my parents. And that's why I'm pushing my life speaking about it, because people put fatherhood to the curb.
Yeah. And
they don't realize when you see somebody shooting a gun, just like in Michigan, you're not born into this world to kill people.
That's right.
What were you trained by your parents? What are you trained? And that's why I try to really tell people about fatherhood. And that's why I'm using my life, my voice to tell people, wake up, because anybody can go have kids. But God gave everybody a mechanism to have kids. Mm-hmm. But then if you don't do it right, problem starts.
That's right.
I just tell people, do what you want to do, but you're going to bring on the problems. And people don't believe that. And I see it every day. I see it every day with the after school. 95% of our parents are women pick up their kids. 5% men pick up their kids. And I see sometimes a problem. Yeah. How some of these kids act. I always say, where's the dad? I always ask, where's the father? And people, and you know what? And it's funny that when I ask these questions about father, how people cringe, people give me a dirty look. If a mom pulls up, Marcus, I need you to talk to my son. I say, where's the dad? Mm-hmm. I don't know where he's at. And these are things that I see all the time. And I just say, number one, God, why you even put this in me? But somebody has to speak on the fatherless. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to use my life and platform for. And that's why the word strong in my father is out there, because kids can break the cycle. Even my father, he asked me that one day. He said, and what you told your son, he said, son, I want you to always be better than me. I want you to go farther in life than I ever want. Mm-hmm. And I've seen parents hold their kids back because they didn't want their kids to go farther than them. I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that personally. And I was like, I want MJ and Jordan to go far than what dad has done.
That's right.
And help people and change people's lives. And that's what you have to do. And so that's why I use this platform to talk. Hope I don't bore people, but I'm just like, when I see CBS News, when I see these problems, I always look at my wife, and she's usually sitting kind of where your assistant is. And I look at her and I says, ain't no daddy. Yeah. She's like, there you go again, talking about daddy. But I see the problems, and I just want to use a platform like a podcast just to talk about it. And you can do what you want to do. Sure. You can live the way you want to live. But I tell you one thing, you bring on problems when you don't do it the right way. You bring on problems.
Having the greatest gift on this earth is having a child.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's the greatest. Like, first of all, it's hard to remember what life was like before Ethan got here. Mm-hmm. And then even now, even though Ansley's only 8 months old, we talk about it. Mm-hmm. Remember what it was like before she was here. And we had 11 years with him before she got here.
Wow, that's a big gap.
It was.
Cool. That's cool.
And but like, it's just the greatest gift there is. The greatest thing that ever happened to my wife and I was our 2 children, and it changed us. It made us. First of all, it made us see the imperfections in ourselves, that the things we did need to work on, because we immediately they show you.
Yeah,
they show you exactly what's wrong with you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, and that old saying, "Do as I say, not as I do," don't work.
Yeah,
it don't work. That's fake, anyways.
Yeah,
it's fake, anyways, right? So,
because he's watching every move you make, and you may not believe it. The way you talk to your wife, he's watching, he's listening, and because he's going to imitate you.
Oh, sometimes when I hear him, if I hear him talk to his mother in the wrong way, I know that I did it first.
Yeah, he's going to hear that way, and
that don't make it okay.
Because me and my wife, we'll have debates. Like one thing about my wife, she hates about me. She said, I love to debate. She was like, before we watch this show on TV, are we going to debate? She'll ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, depend on the topic. So we'll go like hard debating, and it sounds like we're arguing, but we're not. And my oldest son will say, break it up. But we're debating, and I'm trying to get my point across, and she's trying to get her point across. And, and I said, are you going to go on the podcast? And she's like, nope. Because he said, but I just think that children see their imitation of what they see at home.
Right.
So kids are not born to curse. They're not brought they brought in the world to lie, but they're not brought in the world to curse. They hear words, and they hear things from school. So it's just, I know I'm living in a fantasy world of telling people father and mothers need to be together. But I just tell people, the problems that arise when you don't have that.
Sure.
When you don't have that. My son's teacher can say, hey, I can call Toya, I can call Mark anytime. And that's what my dad wanted. Right. My dad wanted his kids to have great wives, a great husband. Because I have a younger sister who has a great husband that takes good care of her. So everything is centered around me as fatherhood. It doesn't leave my brain. I talk about it all the time because that's a lot of the problems. School, I tell people, your kid can't read in school, that's the dad's fault. I tell people that. And they get mad. They say, well, what about the mom? I said, if the dad provide a great home, then mom's going to help. So these just things I say that, some people think I'm off the wall saying it. But, me and my wife work as a great team for our kids. And I just want to see other kids have a shot.
The people that would argue with you, first of all, you could ask them one easy question we say a lot around here, which is, how's that working for you?
Yeah, I say that. And they get mad. That's why my wife was worried about me doing the podcast, because she was like, what are you going to say? But I just try to tell people the truth. I try to tell people.
Honesty.
Well, that's why I have to live my life the way I live it. I can't get on podcasts and TV and live one way and live another way. It has to be one way. And so if I'm a married father, I'm supposed to be right. I'm supposed to be faithful to my wife. Because if I'm not faithful, what happens? It brings on problems. And it's a problem that I don't have to deal with if I do right.
That's right.
I tell people that. I don't need nobody screaming me over a pulpit on Sunday to tell me that.
That's
All
right.
you got to do is just do it right. As men, we always tempt to do wrong.
That's right.
But like I said out there when we had our pre-op, is I think before I make a move. I think if I cheat, here's the potential problems that can arise. And I look at like top 10.
And you lose in every one of them.
So I'm like, okay, do I want to go through these top 10 problems when I don't have to go through it?
Right.
So that's how I train myself, because I'm flesh. I'm not human. I'm not God. But I just think about, all who it affects. It can affect my staff who looks upon this job for their livelihood. It can affect my kids and say, okay, Dad, you did all this work and all this talking about fatherhood, and look what you did. So I use these things to train myself, to try to be the best husband and the best father. And one thing we didn't put on there is I've been married 20 years.
20 years.
So I just celebrated 20 years in June.
That's incredible. Congratulations. That's a milestone, man.
Yeah, 20 years, man. And my mom and dad just celebrated 50 in November.
That's wonderful.
So 50 years, 20 years that LaToya has put up with me, probably 25 years, because we dated 5 years before I got married. But I think, we're a good team.
Yes.
We both, I think the way she grew up, the way I grew up, I think it actually kind of balanced us both out. Because I grew up with a big family. She just grew up with her and her mother.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, but it works. And I have a great friend.
Incredible. So, Ethan, you almost got your question ready? You almost got it ready? Cool, because I'm about to be at you. All right. So you have a December 20th at 6 p.m. at the Smith Springs Church of Christ here in Nashville. You have a Hope Leadership Academy 2021 Christmas program.
Yes, we partnered with One Church Ministry with Brian Sweat, who's the leader of that organization. He said, hey, Mark, I want to be a blessing to your kids for Christmas. So he says, any way you can put a Christmas program together. And my staff asked me that. I was like, yeah, let's get our kids to sing. We did it in 2018.
Okay. That
our kids performed, sang Christmas carols. I actually had a girl who used to be in my program who actually drew an angel while the young man was doing a poem. So we had some real talented kids. So we're doing that on December 20th at Smith Street Church of Christ at 6 o'clock. And then all the kids who were able to be there and perform, we get a Christmas gift. and then also get their picture with Santa. But what's special about that event is that on the 19th, we're going to give 10 families more Christmas gifts. We want to bless, that one church ministry want to bless 10 families for Christmas.
10 families.
10 families. So we identified the 10, and we want to be able to give them more gifts and pour into them for this Christmas holiday. And I've done Angel Tree Christmas before.
Yeah.
I did that in 2016 where we picked out 10 families to give gifts to. And my dream for next year is to do a Christmas store. I want to be able to use the gym and turn it into a store and let parents come in and buy, basically give us a ticket and they get a free gift for their kid. That would be a dream of mine. I know it's like a year project to do that because you have to get people to give. But I just haven't seen it in Nashville. Somebody have a full gym full of toys where parents can go down like an aisle and get their kids something for Christmas, because I'm blessed to be able to get my kids something. I'm blessed to be able to wake up on Christmas morning and give my wife and my kids something. But I always think about, that's why I did the Thanksgiving event, because I was able to bless somebody with something to eat on Thanksgiving. So I'm hoping that next year we can do that. That dream is doing a Christmas store. And I learned that from Urban Youth Impact. They do a Christmas, they actually rent a huge, like one of them revival tents.
Awesome.
And they fill it up with toys, and single parents can come in and get their kids some toys, bikes, and stuff like that for Christmas, because kids deserve to smile on that day. Like, that day sometimes saddens me because I'm able to get my kids something. But what about those who moms are in, the rescue mission because they had an abusive man?
Yeah.
Don't their kids deserve something special for Christmas? That's the thing that bothers me, that I'm trying to fill a gap in, that makes me feel like I've done something to give back.
You said it right. Kids deserve a smile on that day.
They deserve it, man.
Right.
My kids
they
smile.
deserve a smile and to smile.
They deserve that.
Right.
And so I honor programs that do things for like angel trees and toy drives and stuff like that. So if I can't do it, I always give to somebody else.
Fantastic.
I always give. And I'm looking forward to the 19th where we're knocking on the door. So I'm going to go to 10 families on the 19th. That's going to be a lot. But knock on their door and seeing their kids smile, getting Christmas gifts. Like, I'm really looking forward to that 19th.
So, in a second, after Ethan asks you his question, we're going to make sure everybody knows whether they want to support the Christmas program or just the organization in general. We're going to make sure they know how and where to do that, okay? But Ethan, all right, come on up here, buddy. Let's see if we can not tear anything up or spill anything on the way over here. So,
I don't do that.
well, I might. So, let's see, there. Look, there you are. You're on camera. See there? You look good. You look good. You look like your mama. Thank goodness. All right. So I'm gonna give you the mic, and you're gonna ask him your question. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see what you got.
So, quick question.
Okay.
Since you had a father, how do you know how that other people that don't have a father, how do you know the experience of not having a father?
Well, number one, I don't know what it is to go without a father. That's number one. I've seen other kids and what they went through and the stories they have told me about not having a father. I've heard stories of fathers who promised their kids to pick them up. It happened to my wife. Her father promised to pick her up. Say, get your coat, stand on the porch. I'm going to come pick you up. And he never showed up. And that's devastating to a child. Any promise my dad made, he did. And it's a good friend of mine who told me a great story about his father. Promised to pick him up. Told his mom, I got my backpack. Dad promised me. And he says, I think he's in his 50s. He says, I'm still sitting on that porch waiting on my dad to pick me up. And his dad has been gone. His dad is deceased. But he says, I'm still that little child waiting for my dad to pick me up. So I think that with my dad, I had great promises. The fathers get broken promises because it hurts when your father tells you you're going to be there and you're not. And so that's the difference between like my dad with me and then those who don't have fathers.
Question answered.
All right. I appreciate that.
Well, Ethan, that was fantastic. You continue to blow me away on a daily basis. That was a great question, man. Way to go. Way to go. I think you can have a seat back over there.
I'm used to it by now.
All right. He will steal the show if I let him. I will, and it'd probably be a better show. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how. First of all, let's tell folks where they can find you.
They can find me on my website. I didn't mean to cut you off. They can find me
go
at
ahead.
www.strongerthanmyfather.org. If you are open to giving, supporting this cause, helping us continue to fight for the fatherless, you can go to our website and you make a donation of any amount that will support this program and help us continue to fight for the fathers. That would be generously great. That helps us continue to further this mission. And I assure you that your money will not be wasted.
Well, I'm going to make sure that the instructions that you just provided, that they work before you leave today.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Excellent.
I appreciate that.
So you got some social media. You got Instagram, which and that is it's what's the Instagram handle?
Just Stronger Than My Father.
Stronger Than My Father's the Instagram, the Facebook, and Twitter.
Twitter, Stronger Sons.
Okay.
So Stronger Sons, which
that.
is going to be the name of my new mentoring program that launches August of 2022. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into that mentoring world. The At School program is great. It's self-sufficient without Marcus. I had to tell myself that. There's time to let somebody else run it, and you go back because I just don't see a lot of strong mentoring programs that's helping young men in Nashville.
Right.
I could be totally wrong, but I've been asking a lot who really mentors, not just pick you up and take you to trampoline park and get some pizza. I'm talking about seeing you graduate high school and you're going to college and gaining a career. Right. So I want these young, and then our mission for Stronger Sons is to build 1,000 strong sons to break the fatherhood cycle.
Unbelievable.
That's my mission with Stronger Sons. So I'm getting the neckties. I want to teach these boys how to wear ties, how to dress nice. I got a whole bunch of guys that's going to come in and pour into these young men to show them a better life. And so you can be, if you want to be see what you see on Instagram as bad, then I'm not the guy for you. But if you look at me and say, Marcus, can you help me change my life? Can you help me get me in a better position to be successful? I will work to the bone to get you there.
So
I love it.
Folks, the reason that he is successful in what he's doing is for the same reasons that businesses prosper. And that is, one, he's got clear-cut like targets, goals that he's chasing with a deadline, right? And he's extremely proficient and detailed in the mission of exactly what he is trying to do. So like that's the biggest mistake most businesses do when they launch is they don't have a clear-cut target or a goal or a destination or anything like that. They don't know if they're doing good. They don't know if they're doing bad. They don't have anything to measure. And you have created things to measure. You heard it right there. 1,000 strong sons.
I want 1,000 strong sons, man. I really want to see how many we can truly help have that shot. Because I've been around some great successful guys. I got some great successful friends who are hugely successful. But when I look at the background, most of them had a dad. Most of them had great fathers.
Yeah.
That poured into them, and now they're successful. And then when I see their kids, you can see how they dress, their appearances and stuff like that. So
that's right. People
don't believe old Mark, but I'm telling you that fatherhood piece, especially for young men, I even say for young men and girls, because young ladies always look for, if they grew up with a good father, they look for someone similar as their dad.
Yeah, your website has a beautiful little lady on there.
I appreciate that. And you usually look for someone that's similar like your dad. And I think what I would look for in a wife was someone similar like my mother. Because I knew that I could get along with her.
That's right.
So it worked out for me. It worked out. So I've been blessed.
I heard a teammate taught me this years ago. When back in the day to start something, $300 was the magic number that we had to get somebody to get to invest into themselves. And it was an agent looked me in the face and said, why don't you just ask 30 people, not loan you $10, love you $10.
Oh, I may use that. I'm going to use that.
So as a matter of fact, I'm going to use it right now. Folks, strongerthanmyfather.org, love somebody $20 today.
I appreciate
right
that.
now. Right now.
That.
I'm telling you, I'll make sure it works for you before he leaves today, okay? But you can't do too much. It's amazing. A lot of people don't give because they think, it's not enough or it's not going to make a difference. It all adds up.
Yeah, I think every dollar adds up. And some people are nervous because they don't know if you're a scam artist. They don't know if you're a pretender, those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens. And so I think that I tell people, look at my track record.
Yeah.
Go to social media and see the work we're doing.
Yeah.
How many families we feed for Thanksgiving? How many families we fed for Easter? How many backpacks we gave out to kids? How many kids have been impacted by going to a great after school program?
Yes.
We hardly have any openings now.
It's awesome.
I'm trying to squeeze kids in.
It's unbelievable.
And, my program that looks at me like, Mark, we can't take it no more. Slow it down. But I just think that every dollar is used to help us further our mission.
So if they want to help financially, they know how to do that. If they want to support in person, they can do that as well. They can communicate through you guys through the website, we
have a volunteer form you can complete, and then we contact you when we have our next event, which is Easter. So Easter will be our next big event. So we been blessed to get a plethora of volunteers that volunteer. Thanksgiving we did Thanksgiving. I actually did 2 locations. The day before, I did one. We fed 200. We gave 200 meals out Wednesday, and turned around and did 250 on Thursday. So I had 2 locations, and we had at least 20 plus volunteers at both locations. So it worked out. I didn't know what to do, but just hand out meals because my wife had it all organized, and I didn't really have to do much. So it really worked out. So I was really, really blessed that it all worked out.
Marcus, I'm absolutely blown away, man.
I appreciate it.
You are one in a million, and I mean
Thank
that.
you.
Like,
thank you.
I know a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of people.
Yeah.
You are rare, man. You are rare.
Well, I appreciate that.
And there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to hit all those numbers that you threw out there. You're probably going to blow through them anyways.
Yeah.
You probably didn't aim high enough at the end of the day.
You know what? I just want to, like I tell people, is I want to use my life to be a blessing to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
God blessed me with great parents, a great middle-class family who, believe it or not, I was the worst kid out of my family. And people ask me, why am I doing this when you grow up with a dad? Why are you doing this and that? And I say, and you know what I tell people? Ask God. Don't ask me why. Ask God why I'm doing this. Because the flesh side of Marcus don't want to do it. But the spirit side of Marcus says it's needed and it's necessary. Right. Because somebody deserves a better shot at a better life.
I am blown away. Marcus Meneese, Stronger Than My Father.
Yes.
A local nonprofit here in Nashville, Tennessee, an amazing organization with an even more amazing mission, creating amazing people, putting them back out in the community. It's outstanding.
Well, I thank you, man. I thank you for giving me a voice, a platform to get my voice out.
Is there anything else that you want to tell the folks before we bring this thing to a close?
No, I just say, if you believe in the work we're doing, we appreciate your support. But help us continue to impact more lives, more kids and more families. That's our goal, to impact more kids and more families. That's what I'm looking forward to doing.
I know I learned a lot today, not just about the organization and the mission behind it, but like how to make the organizations we already supported better.
Yes.
Based on the example that you guys are setting. So you guys are leading the crowd. Again, I'm just absolutely blown away. Marcus Meneese, founder of Stronger, and founder and executive director of Stronger Than My Father Incorporated, a local Nashville nonprofit organization. Thanks so much for being here today, man. I know your time is valuable.
Oh no, man! This was the highlight of my day.
Fantastic.
The highlight of my day. I've enjoyed every bit of this, and you have to bring me on again soon.
We will, and we're bringing the teammates in. And I'm serious. Yes. Find you. There's some special young men that graduate your program, yes. And it's something cool about being under the lights, yeah, and being mic'd up and sitting down and doing stuff. And I want to share that with those kids somehow. And it's fun sitting back here behind the desk too. And you need to do that from time to time.
Well, you didn't tell me, hey, Mark, get behind the desk. Marquise would probably be my first one. I want to get Marquise. Me and him is real close. And actually, if I bring Dominique, I'll cry. So, yeah. So if I get Dominique in town, I'm definitely got to call you, because Dominique is the reason why I'm doing this. His life, he means so much to me, yeah, in my personal life, and I call him my first son.
There you go.
Even though I have two, natural sons, but he's the first.
Well, the theme of this show, it's in the introduction. It was something Dale and I talked about on the pilot episode, is we're going to bring people on here that everybody knows, and we're going to bring people on here that not everybody knows yet.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And
I appreciate that.
And you are definitely somebody that if they don't, now they do, and they're going to continue to find out. So
I appreciate it.
Man, once again, folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Hit Streak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. If you like what you hear or watch, and I know that you do, make sure and hit that subscribe button and tune in next time. Thank you so much to my special guest, my man, Ethan Hyder, in the building. Came up with that question all by himself, didn't he, Fiona? It was incredibly impressive. Thanks so much for sitting in here, man. It was awesome to have you here today.
Quick thing.
What's that?
Don't forget to subscribe to mine, too.
Oh, he's right. Ethan Hyder's YouTube channel. I told you he never misses an opportunity. Ethan Hyder on YouTube. Lots of great drum videos and stuff there. So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.